That guy right there, a freshman, one of the 10 best freshmen in the country. He's an absolute vacuum cleaner on the glass, Oscar Tshiebwe.
12+ times this year, Oscar Tshiebwe's had 10 or more rebounds. Just a freshman. That's in number 34, guarding Solomon Young, and Young takes advantage, so that timeout effective by Steve Prohm.
One of the things without Tyrese Halliburton, who's been out for them for a stretch of games here now, they've tried to go inside a little bit more.
That one's blocked by the senior Michael Jacobson. Here's Emmett Matthews, and he's one of the plethora of West Virginia Mountaineers that have been in an extended slump on the offensive end. Jackson off the mark, offensive rebound to Bolton. And Jacobson will go to the line after taking it to the Colt. That's the first foul on Tshiebwe. And Bob Huggins has been prone most of the season to play his two bigs together. A lot of that depends on foul trouble.
Well, I think he's decided to go to two bigs in a world where some folks have gone away from that. Kansas has finally gone to the one big lineup, but I think when you're missing as many shots as West Virginia has, you might as well put the lineup out there that gives you the best chance to collect those misses.
Jacobson, along with a couple other players, celebrating senior night here. His final home game, grew up in Waukee, Iowa, less than an hour away, and his Cyclones have a chance to take their first lead, but it's off of Prentiss Nixon, another fellow senior, number 11 in white. There's Huggy Bear, owner of 879 career wins. That's 6th most all-time, 4th most among active coaches, and he's just a few wins, 5 to be specific, or 4 actually, behind Roy Williams for 5th in the all-time wins department. A future Hall of Famer if there ever was one. Again, a concerted effort to get it down low, and Derek Culver pays it off with his first two.
Well, every possession for West Virginia those guys should get a touch, be it Culver or Tshiebwe. They are so massive, and they force the defense to have to react.
There's Nixon, his first shot in his final home game as a Cyclone is good. And that's a good sign for the Cyclones. Nixon just 2 for his last 14 from 3 in his last 3 games coming in. Cyclones with their first lead of the game, nearly 3 minutes gone by. Here's Jordan McCabe, and he gets the shooter's touch.
And he has not shot it well. Only 20% from 3 all year.
Inside, Young couldn't handle it. Still goes to work on Tshiebwe. Left hand off the window. Well, get used to this, folks. We're going to see a lot of feet in the painted area tonight.
It's a ground and pound. You don't see this much anymore in the game of basketball.
What did Steve Prohm tell us? It's like 3rd and 1 on a football field every time you know what you're doing. And that is get the ball inside. Here's Tshiebwe. His first shot off the window is good. Oscar Tshiebwe, who in addition to those 12 10+ rebounds games, has 17 double-digit scoring games. Nixon off the mark this time, the rebound to Culver.
And both these teams getting those guys to the block, starting with a high pick and roll. So you start with the high screen, you roll them to the block.
And Jerry Pollard calls Jermaine Haley for the travel. It'll be Iowa State basketball down by 2, 16:05 to go. So without Halliburton, what has Steve Prohm audible to offensively?
They've had to go to a lot more set plays. You know, Steve Prohm's a guy who wants to play in a flow. You know, you come down early offense, pitch ahead, and then get into a type of emotion. They've had to go to a lot more set stuff because they don't really have a point guard. It's not what Rasheer Bolton does.
Here's Trey Jackson. Hits the tray.
This is high-octane offense relative to who these teams have been. What a hot start for both.
hesitation from McCabe, and that's what Jordan McCabe can deliver on. A beautiful short lob to Culver for the easy flush. I don't know if you ever caught any of Jordan McCabe's YouTube videos from high school, but he is a wizard with the basketball. That one tipped away, picked off. Here comes Haley. Offensive rebound, that's the specialty for Derek Culver and the Mountaineers. Unfortunately, can't pay it off.
But he had McCabe open. I know McCabe hasn't shot it well, but he does have a 3 already tonight. He's wide open. I don't think Culver saw him.
Jacobson from the wing. Off on that three-pointer. West Virginia losers of 6 of their last 7. Their status for the Big 12 tournament is completely up in the air. They can end up in the 3 seed or as low as the 7 seed. McCabe tries it again. Short. Offensive rebound to Gabe Osaboyan. And that one is set back with authority. Solomon Young the block. And a foul on the floor called by Kelly Self. Timeout on the floor. West Virginia with a 1-point lead and an offensive explosion.
And here's this lob from Jordan McCabe. Nice little hesitation between the legs. Lob it up top to the rim, and then giving them the basketball. You know, I think both these teams have gotten some layups early in this game. One of the things for West Virginia where they have struggled is, you know, you go back, for example, their game over the weekend, they had 20 offensive rebounds, only converted 12 points off of it. So they haven't just had a hard time making perimeter shots. They've had a hard time scoring at the basket as well.
Here's Rasheer Bolton, the leading scorer on this Iowa State team ever since Tyrese Halliburton went out with that fractured left wrist. 10 on the shot clock for the Cyclones. Nice backdoor cut by Jackson, but it's stripped away by Deuce McBride, who's seeing his first action on the floor, and a foul called on the floor. Speaking of Halliburton, there he is wearing his jersey, but unfortunately not dressed to play. The good news is he got the cast off and it's just a soft brace on. And we saw him at practice working out like he's as healthy as he could possibly be despite that injured wrist.
Well, you can tell he misses being out there. You know, he was having a heck of a year.
Late shot clock jumper by Bolton, but the offensive rebound to Condit. And George Condit is fouled on the floor. Well, we talked about how Tyrese Halliburton is not resting on his laurels with that injury. As a matter of fact, he was shooting around with the team at practice. This was just a couple hours ago, 6:25 Eastern time, and he's out doing one-on-one workouts like he was getting ready for the NBA draft already.
Well, and he's going to be an NBA player, I would assume, in the coming year. And he's going to be special. He is special. He's always smiling. The thing I think I love the most about him, he's always got a smile on his face. You know, and you could really use him in a game like this because the pressure from West Virginia, I mean, you have to have, as Jackson knocks down a 3, you have to have guys who can make plays. It's very hard to run your stuff against West Virginia because they pressure the ball. They're going to deny one pass away.
Minutes gone by.
And that's one of those conversions around the basket we were talking about. They haven't made layups. I mean, 6'10", Culver's got to finish that.
All alone, Zion Griffin short on the 3. The rebound to Deuce McBride. Here comes Haley up the right side. And if there is a natural scorer on this West Virginia team, it's number 4 in blue with the ball. West Virginia's missed their last 6 field goal attempts after a 50% start from the field, which, again, there's always going to be a regression to the mean, but at this point, Bob Huggins will take any buckets he could get. He was stoic at best, morose at worst in his post-game press conference after their last loss, a 73-62 loss to Oklahoma. He said he'll do anything he can just to win a ball game. The answer is going inside.
Well, it's absolutely worth mentioning. I mean, 98% of their production, West Virginia's, comes from freshmen or sophomores. They're a really young basketball team. And I think that's been a big part of their issue as they've gotten to the tougher part of their schedule. You're playing against grown men. You're playing in a league where there's no off nights. It's a great find by Miles McBride over the top with no help behind. But, you know, outside of Jermaine Haley, who's a redshirt senior, they're playing a lot of young guys, and they weren't good last year. You know, they're coming back this season off a year where they were not a good basketball team. I mean, 9 of your guys, freshmen and sophomores.
Aaron pass picked off. Here comes Nixon for the Cyclones. Griffin tries for three. He's short again. Good defense in transition by the freshman Caleb Grill, number 2 in white. And maybe a little bit of a frustration foul called on West Virginia. Quick timeout on the floor, tied at 15. Feed the good. Well, it's senior night here inside Hilton Coliseum, the last home game for a pair of seniors. That's Michael Jacobson on the right, Prentiss Nixon on the left. And it's interesting to note that both of them transfers into the Iowa State program. We were commenting before this game, it's getting more and more rare to see a true senior night because you just don't see four-year players that much anymore. Ooh. That's a shooter's touch by one of those seniors, Prentiss Nixon. Looks like they're going to credit Rasheer Bolton with that basket, his first 2 of the night.
Well, they're going to credit it to him because he scored it, Rich.
I'm going by the PA.
He's the one who made it.
I'm going by the public address announcer here in Hilton Coliseum. Picked off. Here come the Mountaineers. Chance to tie this game up after a hot start from West Virginia. They've cooled off considerably. Here's Taz Sherman.
Nice defense by Grill.
5 on the shot clock. Pull-up jumper's good from Deuce McBride.
And that's frustrating for Iowa State. That was a really good defensive possession, especially by Caleb Grill. You force West Virginia into a tough 2, and McBride buries it.
Jacobson over his left shoulder. Michael Jacobson has his first field goal, 4 points in the game. Chase Harler pulls up, and Jacobson has the rebound. Blocked out of bounds. It'll stay Iowa State basketball. Saturday we'll have a Big 12 ACC doubleheader with the conference tournaments right around the corner. First, the Jayhawks look to clinch the Big 12 regular season title and the top seed in the tournament as they take on Texas Tech in Lubbock at 2 Eastern. Then the greatest rivalry in college hoops is renewed. North Carolina and number 12 Duke from Cameron Indoor. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. I'm sitting right next to a former Duke assistant, so naturally I'll ask you, what was your favorite memory when you were on the bench for Coach K playing in that rivalry?
The Austin Rivers game, McBride gets an easy one. The Austin Rivers game was the most searing memory of all because they were so much better than us that year. And we were, we had played the best half of basketball we had played all year in the first half of that game, and we were down by 3. And Coach K comes in the locker room, and he yells at the team. He's looking. We go over to the coach's locker room. He's talking to us. He says, "What do you guys think we should do? We just played our best half of basketball, and we're down. And you're the Hall of Famer. What do you got, Coach? Let's do this." And we ended up going down double figures. It was a lot like actually the first matchup this year against Carolina and Duke. We go down double figures in the second half. All of a sudden, we chipped away, and Rivers had the ball on the right wing with a chance to win it. Amazing game.
Taylor Grill off the mark. I remember seeing video of that game, and I think you jumped higher than you ever have after that Austin Rivers game winner.
In dress shoes.
Ooh. There we go. Deuce McBride's got another 2, living up to his name. Deuce has 6. And now it's a 4-point West Virginia lead. 8 minutes to go in the first half.
He's the future. He is. Reminds me a lot. He's got a little bit of a Javon Carter in him, but a better offensive game. And he's a little taller.
That one tipped away, but saved. Here's Jacobson from the elbow. In and out. Here comes McBride, and Sheboy wants a touch. In the corner, Sean McNeil. 3-point specialist. He's been struggling. Another bunny missed by Sheboy.
Go dunk that. I mean, just go dunk that. You're trying to fancy it up there. Just go pound that thing through the basket.
Good defense by McBride on the senior Nixon. And Nixon forced that one up. Here comes Sherman, a JUCO transfer. Expected to bring some offense this season, and lately he has.
And that 3-point shot. That's what they love him to bring. But this Miles McBride run he's put on. West Virginia team, we know them usually as scoring off of their defense. Not so much this year. It's nice to get. Evidently, he was a pretty good quarterback in high school.
Yeah, coming from Moeller High School in Cincinnati, that's known to produce quite a few football players. Baseball as well. Ken Griffey Jr. went to Moeller High School. Back inside Hilton Coliseum, Chris Patola, I'm Rich Hollenberg. The final Super Tuesday of the regular season as we steamroll towards the Big 12 tournament next week in Kansas City. West Virginia could be anywhere from a 3 seed to a 7 seed. Number 24 in white, that's Terrence Lewis, his first 2 of the game in his first action on the floor tonight. West Virginia has lost 6 of their last 7, including 3 in a row. The main culprit has been offense. Collectively in a massive slump, but you can't take anything away from this defense. 12th in the nation in scoring defense are the Mountaineers. Culver,
big time.
Off the window. He's got 8 to lead all scorers.
And going to his right hand, which is not his strong hand. Put it on the floor. That is, he does have a very unique array of skills. He is a really skilled player at his size.
And Sheboy is going to be whistled for the foul, and that's going to be his second. So immediately Bob Huggins will go to his bench, and Gabe Osaboyan will check in, as will Brandon Napper, number 2 in blue, his first action of the night. Here's Bolton all alone.
Bolton has scored the ball this year, but with him having to do so much with initiating the offense, running the offense, he was so much better off the ball, just thinking about one thing, and that was scoring it.
Sherman, even with the closeout from Lewis, and they're going to call a flop. That's going to be a warning on Taz Sherman. So you count the basket, but the flop warning on Taz Sherman is he was looking for a 4-point play.
And the call came late, and we'll see. I mean, I didn't think flop. Yeah, I mean, I hate the rule to begin with, so I'm not going to even go into it. But it was a heck of a shot he made. You know, their bench is giving them a huge lift. Sherman's come off, McBride's come off. Those guys have made buckets here in this first half.
Yep. 8 for Sherman, 6 for McBride, all off the bench. Offensive rebound and the putback from Jacobson. He has 6. Napper tries a 3. He's now 2 for his last 28 from beyond the arc. Oh, that was Sherman who tried it. This week, our NBA Wednesday doubleheader tips off in Milwaukee. Giannis and the Bucks still on pace for 70 wins. They're hosting the 5th-seeded Pacers at 7 Eastern. Then Zion and the Pelicans take on Luka and the Mavs. New Orleans and Dallas. Zion just named Rookie of the Month. 25 points a game.
After sitting out for 5 months.
Yeah. Talk about living up to the hype.
Well, he has every step of the way. I mean, he lived up to it coming into college. It's amazing. He missed the last 5 games of the regular season last year at Duke. His first game back was in the ACC tournament. He ended up being the most outstanding player, averaged 27-11 in the ACC tournament after missing the last 5 regular season games with that knee injury. Misses 5 months before he starts his NBA career, and in month 1, he's Rookie of the Month.
So I guess the biggest knock on him right now is the unknown. Can he stay healthy? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely. Because every other basketball-related thing that was supposed to be an issue, he's still putting up major numbers.
Yeah.
It has none of that has been an issue. It's his health. Can he stay healthy?
Bolton on the block called for the foul, and that's going to send Jermaine Haley to the free throw line. Free throw is another area that West Virginia has severely struggled with. They're actually 338th in the nation in free throw percentage as a team. Haley just a 63% free throw shooter. And just by frame of reference, there's 351 Division I schools. Haley misses them both, but he gets the rebound on the other end. And here he is in the open floor, and that's what Jermaine Haley can do. 4 for Haley. The lead is back to 8 for the Mountaineers. 4 minutes left in the first half. That ball knocked out of bounds by Logan Rout.
You missed 2 free throws. Best way to get it back. Haley was a little annoyed here on this drive, coast to coast.
Off the trophies you see in the trophy case inside Hilton Coliseum, courtesy of the men's basketball team, who has won 4 of the last 6 Big 12 tournaments. One of those tournament victories came in 2017 against the West Virginia Mountaineers. Rich Hollander, Chris Spatola back inside Hilton Coliseum. 3:46 to go, and the Cyclones are finding themselves down by 8 against this Mountaineers team who's shooting 52% from the field so far in this first half. But just get to Kansas City is all Steve Prohm is thinking, because there's some Hilton magic going on in the Sprint Center.
When I asked him today, do you lament the team you should have had this year? You know, Taylor Horton-Tucker leaving early, Lindell Wigginton leaving early. And that's the, look, it's the day and age we're in college basketball. There's no question. But he's gotten good players here, and retaining them has become a hard part of so many different coaches.
Another West Virginia three-pointer knocked down by the JUCO transfer Sean McNeil, who was wide open. That's the 3rd different Mountaineer to hit a three-pointer. They have 4 in all tonight. And so far, Steve Prohm's defense hasn't found an answer to the West Virginia offense, something I didn't imagine saying so far tonight. There's Caleb Grill, a freshman, much heralded out of Mays, Kansas. Getting more and more playing time as the season's gone on, especially with the injury to Halliburton. 10 on the shot clock. Nice feed to Solomon Young.
And you mentioned Grill, Trey Jackson, one of those other freshmen. You know, they've been up and down this year. They were outstanding in that TCU game a few days ago. And I think reps, you know, just getting those guys an opportunity to play.
Trey Jackson, who just dropped that dime, had played in all 40 minutes in that TCU game. Culver lost it, got it back. Left hand is good. And Derek Culver's the first to double digits. He has 10. And West Virginia's on top 38-27, their largest lead of the game. What would you like to see the Cyclones do offensively to get more in rhythm?
You know, their shot selection's been fine. You know, I think this has been good for them. And the other thing it's done is it's put pressure on West Virginia's bigs to have to guard and ultimately foul.
Well, Saturday we'll have a Big 12 ACC doubleheader with conference tournaments right around the corner. The Jayhawks are looking to get back on top in the Big 12. Number 1 Kansas taking on Texas Tech in Lubbock at 2 Eastern. Then it's North Carolina and number 12 Duke. The Tobacco Road rivalry renewed. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. As your guy Jay Billis says, it always delivers.
Tell you what, that Kansas win the other day on a day when Baylor goes down, you know, Duke goes down. I mean, there were a lot of games where Florida State goes down. There, you know, some of these top 10 teams lost games against teams they shouldn't have. Kansas has a situation where Azubuike goes down with the ankle injury. Kansas State team playing them tough, and they gritted out a win. Sometimes you got to win games, and it says a lot about the character of your team when you're able to win when you're not playing your best. Kansas right now playing the best of anybody out there.
Well, it is Super Tuesday outside of the sports world and in college basketball. We'll have a little more on that.
Pass.
As Logan Rout gets his first 2.
You know, it hasn't been Iowa State's offense. It's their defense. You know, West Virginia team shooting 56% in this first half is out of the norm for West Virginia. And everything in the paint.
And a somewhat eye-popping 40 points already scored by this West Virginia team, who has struggled to score the basketball this season, especially the last month.
And Iowa State has struggled to guard. I mean, they're the worst defensive team in the Big 12. And they're just getting killed by this size, this front court of West Virginia right now.
Even without Shibwe, Derek Culver is having a field day so far in the first half. Under a minute to go, they go inside to Jacobson. He's working on Culver. No foul called as Culver walled him up. Still working hard, and Michael Jacobson has a chance at a three-point play.
Well, the first one was a wall-up. It was a good no call. This one was a foul. That left arm of Culver, you know, that was probably a foul too, now that I look at it a second time. I think so often this year, because they have that wall-up rule now, officials are not calling that as much. Like, that first one was a foul, and that second one was clearly a foul.
Michael Jacobson on senior night completes the three-point play. He's got 9 to lead the Cyclones, but they're down 11 with under 30 to go, and a use it or lose it timeout called on the floor. We'll take a quick 30-second break and be back with the rest of the first half.
Really good first half, and they've had to do a bulk of it with Oscar Shibwe, who has 2 fouls on the bench. You know, and Iowa State, not a big team.
Now McCabe running the point, back on the floor. 7 on the shot clock. Haley in traffic, and they wave off the basket. And it's going to be a foul on the floor. It's going to go on number 4 in white, George Condon.
You know, on a team where you've had a lot of guys not play well offensively. Jermaine Haley has been pretty consistent, especially over the last few games for them.
Mountaineers have connected on their last 5 field goal attempts. Making 5 of their last 6 off of that McNeil miss. And now 7 seconds to go. And for some reason, Culver just tossed it up on the backboard. He got it back, though, and scored.
Well, that's not how they draw it up. He thinks it's funny. I don't know what Coach Huggins is going to think of it.
West Virginia's living right.
He got 2 points out of it.
Well, we will go to halftime. Derek Culver leading all scorers with 14 as West Virginia has a double-digit lead, but for
Culver, he was aggressive, he finished, and he was outstanding on the glass. I mean, it has started up front, and Iowa State's going to have to find a solution on the defensive end, how you limit West Virginia at the basket.
And credit the West Virginia offense committing only 3 turnovers in that half as well. They start the second half with the ball. No surprise, they get it into the hands of number 1, Derek Culver, who leads all scorers with 14. That'll be the foul on Solomon Young, his first. Oscar Tshiebwe starting the second half with those 2 fouls. We'll keep a monitor on that one. Preseason Big 12 Freshman of the Year. Tshiebwe sets the pick, gets it back, and saves it, but it's to Iowa State. The 2-on-1, and Bolton finishes with the bump and the bucket.
Well, a nice job by Iowa State converting on the other end. That's a play that West Virginia's got to complete. I mean, it's there. It's a pick and roll. Tshiebwe's wide open. It leads to this, and a very nice pass by Nixon, a good decision. And that's the kind of start you were hoping for. Maybe it kicks your offense, gives you a little bit of momentum here.
3-point play completed by Rasheed Bolton, the 6'3" sophomore out of Petersburg, Virginia. Cuts this West Virginia deficit to 10. And it's picked up by Prentiss Nixon. Nixon calls his own number. McCabe for 3. Off the mark. Culver tried to go get it. It's off him, out of bounds. It'll be Iowa State basketball. And after committing only 3 turnovers in the first half, Chris, on 2 of the first 3 possessions of the second half, West Virginia's turned it over twice.
And they're bad turnovers. They're unforced, sloppy plays. And Bob Huggins putting Emmett Matthews, who committed one of them, on the bench, bringing Jace Harler in.
Bolton, and the foul is going to go on Tshiebwe. That's going to be number 3 on the big man. It has not been a banner night for Oscar Tshiebwe in what has been an otherwise sensational freshman year at times. Bolton, an 84% free throw shooter, is 4 for 4 so far tonight from the stripe, with 1 more coming. And now Tshiebwe to the bench with those 3 fouls. Gabe Osaboyan on in his place. And finally, the Hilton Coliseum faithful have reason to rise. Solomon Young gets whistled for his second foul.
You know, they're bringing bodies. Last possession, they doubled Culver when he caught it on the block. Here, they're not playing a zone. Iowa State hasn't played much zone this year at all, but they're packing it in, which you can against West Virginia because they can't shoot it at a high percentage.
Savoyan lost it, and another turnover for West Virginia. That's 3 turnovers this half. And we're just over 2 minutes into the second half of play. Cyclones in the midst of a 7-zip run to start the second half and get to within 2 possessions. Young underneath.
I'm surprised Bob Huggins hasn't called a timeout. It looks like he is. You know, maybe a possession too late because Iowa State right now is rolling. Easy buckets, tough shot from Prentiss Nixon, and this offense is now rolling. And West Virginia, who's seemingly decompressed, felt really good about themselves in the locker room. Saw that lead dwindle down to 4, like you said, Rich.
West Virginia looking to avoid losing 7 of their last 8 games. They came in tonight losers of 6 of 7. Ten on the shot clock. Now 5 to shoot. McCabe, a lot of dribbling. And he can't knock it down as the shot clock wound down. And Michael Jacobson is on the deck and writhing in pain.
He was grabbing high up on that ankle. It could be one of those high ankles where man, it's not good.
How will Iowa State respond? One of their leaders goes down at the 17-minute mark in the midst of a Cyclones run.
Well, they've gone smaller. They got a small lineup out there. A lot of space to operate.
Bolton had a nice blow by, but missed the bunny at the rim. Nixon's going to inbounds under his own basket. A high hit by Culver and another foul by Derek Culver. That's the second on the West Virginia big man. That was an offensive foul called on Iowa State. 16:28 to go. Rasheer Bolton whistled for that one. And now the Cyclones are going to set up a little full court pressure.
That was a good take by Osabuoye. He saw that thing coming, read it nicely.
Chris, we're nearly 4 minutes gone by in the second half. West Virginia has yet to score in the second half. They'll get another opportunity with 10 on the shot clock.
And I would say yet to get a good look. They haven't even had a good shot. And that streak keeps coming. I mean, these have been some flying, long jump shots that they've had. Nothing at the basket. They've kind of settled for those. And if they haven't been able to settle for one of those bad jump shots, they've turned it over.
Shot clock resets to 20. McBride pulls up.
There's another one.
Cyclones can make it a 1-possession ball game. And there's another foul far away from the basket. That one's going to go on Savoyan. We have a timeout on the floor. West Virginia teetering. Iowa State coming back. Third-year team manager proposing to his girlfriend, now fiancée, Abby Marie Wilder. Think she's enjoying this game now? Congratulations to them both.
If you're going to do that in a public place, you got to feel pretty good about the yes coming back at you.
I love the reaction of the Iowa State basketball team, too. They were all in on that one. Who needs The Bachelor or Love is Blind when you got that kind of drama in Big 12 basketball? Long jump shot, no good. Culver skied for the rebound, and it will be West Virginia basketball. After shooting 56% in the first half, West Virginia's 0 for the field in the second half so far.
And it's been the shot quality. They just haven't had taken good shots. They haven't had good shots.
Tipped by Young. Ball goes out of bounds, and Jerry Pollack says it's going to be Iowa State basketball. Hasn't touched the rim yet, so the shot clock stays at 7 for the Cyclones. What was a 13-point halftime lead has been whittled to 4. McBride. And it's a shot clock violation.
This Iowa State defense has been reborn. Their pressure on the basketball is outstanding. This Iowa State defense has been reborn. Their pressure on the basketball is outstanding. Their help on the weak side has been outstanding.
And now full court pressure by the Mountaineers, and a timeout is called. Well, both of these teams struggling mightily as of late. We talked about it at the top of this telecast.
Of production, and they've tried to tweak the lineup. I think their size has limited their ability to, drive the basketball from the perimeter. Those guys have been forced to settle for perimeter shots, and they just haven't made them. And we've seen even tonight their ability to convert in the paint at times has been a struggle, making layups.
Nixon high off the window. Prentiss Nixon has 7, and we've got ourselves a 2-point ball game. As Sherman off the dribble. And a foul's going to be called as Sherman misfired.
And not a good foul because you bailed him out. I mean, that was going to be another long 2-point shot. A bad shot, a settle by Taz Sherman. And you end up fouling a jump shooter who's trying to take a shot off the dribble.
And another one that you would categorize as that's poor shot.
I mean, there's 13 seconds on the shot clock. You're trying to take a long 2-point jumper off the dribble.
And how about this? Michael Jacobson back on the bench, got his ankle taped. We'll have to see if he's going to contribute for the remaining part of this senior night that he is celebrating here in Ames. First free throw's good by Sherman. Sherman got them both. He's in double digits with 10. First points of the half for West Virginia. Jackson from the corner. Too strong, but he chases it down. Here's Nixon. Got it. A chance for the lead for the Cyclones. And Young can't give it to him. McBride silences the crowd, if only momentarily. A two-point shot gives West Virginia a 3-point lead. More good news for the Cyclones. Wholesale substitutions coming, and one of them is Michael Jacobson. His fellow senior, Prentiss Nixon, knocks it up at 48. The 4-run to start this second half. And the wheels have come off for the West Virginia Mountaineers. Iowa State trailed by as much as 14 in this game. Their last lead was at 19-17.
And as we know, West Virginia has not been a good team on the road this year.
Coming in at 7-9 in Big 12 play. And McNeil turns it over. So a chance for Iowa State to regain control of this game. We talked at the top of this telecast that West Virginia has a chance to get as high as a 3 seed. They would have to have won this game and the next game to have even a chance at that. But they could drop to as low as a 7 seed if they lose this one and the next one. And right now it's the Prentiss Nixon show in Ames. On the shot clock for West Virginia. Sherman, another contested jump shot. Saved by McBride. And they're going to get Caleb Grill with the push.
Because Prentiss Nixon has not shot the ball well from 3 on the year, the scouting report says late closeout. But at this point, if you're West Virginia, you need to
come in. Joe Lenardi, our resident bracketologist. Joe, you have West Virginia currently as an 8 seed in the Big Dance. What would a loss tonight to the Cyclones do to that seeding?
WVU, guys, a very hard team to seed because their metrics haven't caught up to their losing. But with a loss tonight, 7-10 in the league, potentially 7-11 to finish the regular season with Baylor to close the Big 12 schedule. Only twice has a team gotten an at-large bid in the history of the tournament, 4 games under 500. I'm not saying West Virginia is not going to get in, but they're not going to be wearing white in the first game if this keeps up.
So that's the question, Joe. I mean, a 2 seed when the pairings first came out from the committee, how does the way they've played, I know it's a full body of work, but how does how they have played here of late, do you think, affect the opinion of West Virginia?
We've seen in recent years that it may not affect it as much as we think. The committee tells us repeatedly that November and December counts the same as March. I don't share that view. I think most coaches would say our job is to get our teams to improve. But in West Virginia's case, you know, their offensive struggles have kind of caught up to them. Plus, the Big 12's no slouch.
Joe Lenardi joining us. Thank you, Joe, for your time coming to us from the bracket bunker, as he has been for the last month. And we are into the month of March right now, and time is of the essence for teams like West Virginia to make that final statement. And again, it wasn't too long ago that the NCAA committee was smiling on West Virginia. Now, those smiles turn into frowns as Rasheer Bolton extends the lead for Iowa State.
In the playground, they call these buddy shots. I mean, buddy shots. These Cyclone guards are just dancing on these West Virginia defenders. And in the playground, you hit one of those and you pat your defender on the rear end. You say, hey, buddy, it's a buddy shot. I mean, they are just drilling these things.
Well, as of right now, the Big 12 has 5 teams in. One thing to keep an eye on right now going on in Norman, Oklahoma, Texas, who has won 4 straight, is looking at making it 5 straight. They're up 4 in the second half on the Sooners. So they could be knocking on the door as, I don't know, possibly a 6th team getting in from the Big 12.
It's amazing how much better they have played. I mean, look, I don't think they're a better team without Jericho Sims, but they are a different team, and the different look has been tough for teams to adjust to, opposing teams. There's been more room for those guards to operate. Courtney Rainey, Andrew Jones have been really, really good. Guards in March. I mean, we're seeing it here tonight with the way these Iowa State guards are playing. Guards in March are what win you games.
And those last couple of wins have brought Shaka Smart's Longhorns from off the bubble to squarely on the bubble. They're knocking on the door. Oklahoma tonight. And we'll see them against Oklahoma State in Austin on Saturday to round out the Big 12 regular season. West Virginia going in the opposite direction. They've lost 6 of 7 and in danger of making it 7 of 8 with a bad loss tonight against Iowa State on the road. Nixon. That's his first miss from 3. And a struggle for the jump ball. It's going to be a jump ball, and Iowa State will retain possession.
Iowa State, as a lot of teams have done, doing a nice job moving those bigs of West Virginia out to the perimeter with that high ball screen. Oscar Tshiebwe in the game with 3 fouls, having to guard pick and rolls and then having to follow Solomon Young back down into the paint. Here it is again.
Nixon looked like he got tripped as he just tossed up that shot as he was falling down. That one's on Gabe Osaboyan, his 3rd. And now Prentiss Nixon will be at the line shooting 1-1. He's already matched his season high of 16, has Prentiss Nixon. 13 of those 16 coming in the second half. And Iowa State, a good foul shooting team at 74% collectively, will be shooting free throws on every subsequent foul this half. But he misses the front end.
Those front end misses kill you.
McNeil, the pull-up, no. And good hustle by the Cyclones. Two-point ball game from Ames, Iowa. Rich Oliver, Chris Spatola. The final home game of the season for Iowa State. And they're trying to send the Cyclone faithful home with a W, and a comeback W at that.
I did a Colorado State game earlier in the year, and they're opposing their staff, their coaching staff, Colorado, were raving about Prentiss Nixon. Now, part of it is they wish they still had him, but just what a great kid he is. What a great locker room guy he was. They were sorry to see him go.
And there's Rasheed Bolton, still perfect from the line, 6 for 6 tonight. Saturday, we'll have a Big 12 ACC doubleheader. Conference tournaments right around the corner, but the regular season wrapping up with #1 Kansas taking on Texas Tech in Lubbock at 2 Eastern. Then North Carolina and #12 Duke wrap it up in prime time. West Virginia with the ball, down 4. They are 1 for 11 from the field to start this second half. And there's Tshiebwe. He's got 6 points this half, 8 in the game, and it's still a 2-point game. Jacobson back on the floor with that left ankle.
You know, you wonder if this pressure, both in the full court and in the half court, if it eventually starts to have a cumulative effect on these Iowa State guards. Rasheed Bolton's had to work so hard tonight, handling the ball, running the offense, scoring the ball. And West Virginia and Bob Huggins have played a lot of guys.
12 in all for Huggs. 5 on the shot clock. Bolton steps right into Osaboyan. And that's going to be an offensive foul on Iowa State. Third foul on Rasheer Bolton. Where do you think the points will come from for West Virginia?
You ask that every game over the last 7. And he's been the guy, honestly. I mean, Miles McBride tonight has been the guy. First half, he was good. In this second half, he's at least been able to knock down a couple perimeter shots for them.
First 3 of the game from McBride. He has 11. West Virginia back on top by 1 after leading by 13 at the break. Young got mugged by Osaboyan. That'll be Gabe's fourth. 7:57 to go. A back and forth contest in Ames. Who wants it?
This is not good.
I need you to pick on senior night, having himself a night.
I misspoke earlier saying his season high was 16. He had 20 against the Kansas Jayhawks, one of the better defensive teams in the entire country, let alone the Big 12. He's got 16 tonight. And Solomon Young misses another one of those coveted front ends of a 1-and-1.
Well, because they're now 0 for 4, right? I mean, you miss 2 front ends, you're essentially missing 2 free throws each trip.
And a 10-second call on West Virginia. And all Bob Huggins can do is turn his back to the court in disbelief.
Front ends will kill you, and a 10-second call will definitely kill you.
And now we get a 5-second call on Iowa State. I mean, I know the Big 12 is known for defense, but at some point, you got to say, come on, fellas.
This isn't defense. This is an inability to execute offense.
Ty Sherman with the ball. He can provide some offense off the bench. And he's fouled by Prentiss Nixon. That's the second on Nixon, and West Virginia will go to the line and shoot free throws. Both teams in the double bonus now, 7:35 to go. 2 free throws for Nixon. Or
this is West
Sherman, sorry.
Are you done?
Yeah. Now but hurry up, because I'm talking again after the free throw.
No, I'm not going to start now. You got a promo coming. I'm not going to be cut off by this. I'm sure we're selling something great.
We are. It's the Big 12 now, Chris. It's on ESPN Plus, and it's a must-have for Big 12 basketball fans. #1 Kansas will be on there hosting TCU tomorrow night at 8. Saturday, #4 Baylor takes on these Mountaineers at 1. And Iowa State taking on Kansas State at 3 Central. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big 12.
This is West Virginia's best lineup. It's not the lineup they start, but those 2 guards, I think, give them the best offensive option. And then they haven't had a chance tonight to play the 2 bigs together because of foul trouble. But he's got them both in now, Culver and Sheboy.
Jacobson tied up Haley in transition. So Jermaine Haley will go to the line and shoot 2.
That's twice tonight. He's barely grazed the front of the rim on a free throw.
Oh for 3 from the stripe tonight. Jermaine Haley, the senior from Vancouver. He goes 1 for 2. So West Virginia's up 60-56. Coming up on 7 minutes to go. Trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. And they're in the midst of an 8-0 run themselves to get back in this game. Bolton. This is turning into a free throw contest. And if that's the situation as this game winds down, it is distinctly advantage Iowa State.
One of the things Steve Prohm talked to us about at the shoot-around today was we have to figure out and make a read on how West Virginia's guarding the ball screen. West Virginia in the second half has been hard hedging, so they've been running those bigs out hard, and they've picked up some fouls doing that. On that play there, Sheboy's coming out. He's got 3 fouls. He's not coming out as hard, which then allows Bolton to turn the corner, get the angle, and then ultimately get fouled.
Rasir Bolton is perfect from the free throw line tonight. He has 16 to match his backcourt mate Nixon. 2-point ball game, 7 minutes to go. Culver, left hand, off the back iron, offensive rebound, Sheboy. Culver tries the jump shot, and it's off the iron.
Another good defensive possession, and they were willing to live with that shot that Culver took, and for good reason.
Bolton, tough take. Rasir Bolton has scored the last 9 Iowa State points. Sheboy gets another offensive board. Goes up strong, and Culver's there to finish. First bucket of the second half for Derek Culver. That gives West Virginia a 62-60 lead. 5.5 to go.
What an offensive rebound by Sheboy. In traffic, big-time traffic.
And they tried to go inside, but no one was home to receive the pass, and it's going to be an Iowa State turnover and a chance for West Virginia to extend their 2-point lead.
You know, I understand you want to try to give Solomon Young a look there, a different look, but Bolton has been so good off the ball screen, and Bolton's going to the bench now, especially going to his right hand. He's a much stronger driver to his right. I don't, you scored off it on the last possession. It makes sense to go back to it.
Culver down low. Haley finishes it.
There's that size. 6'7" perimeter player. It's a tough matchup.
Those were the entry passes that they were working on in shoot-around earlier today. That time it works for Bob Huggins.
And that's how they started the game, posting up Haley. First possession of the game.
8 to shoot. Big rebound by Culver, and he gets fouled for his effort. That's going to go on Jacobson, number 3 on Michael Jacobson. And it's taking a real gutty effort for the senior, number 12 in white, Michael Jacobson, who came down with an ugly-looking ankle injury earlier in the second half that looked like it could have ended his senior night. Instead, he's back on the floor, giving it all he has for these Cyclones. Grabbing that right ankle, came down awkwardly. You could see it as he rolled it on the way down. He was helped off, but moments later, back on the bench, got it taped up. And here he is battling with 2 of the fiercest big men in the Big 12, Derek Culver and Oscar Sheboy.
Good decision here by Steve Prohm. He got Rasir Bolton a quick break, and he's got him back in the game. He's got to be on the floor, he and Nixon together. But it was good to buy at least 30 seconds to give Bolton a break.
Culver 1 for 2 again. Jacobson forced it up, back iron, rebound Culver. And all of a sudden, Derek Clover is knocking on the door of another double-double. He's at 17 points and 9 rebounds. Who's going to win the final 4 minutes of this one? Off the hands of Haley, out of bounds. It'll be Iowa State ball, down 5, 3:45 to go.
College basketball, you got to be prepared for every
Whale of a ball game. West Virginia's up 5, 65-60, 3:45 to go. The Mountaineers were up 13 at the break.
Iowa State's got to go back to this pick and roll stuff with Rasheer Bolton. And he's been so good at turning a corner, creating for himself or for other guys.
And we've got an offensive foul. That's going to be on George Condit, who's pleading his case to Kelly Self, but to no avail.
It was a good call. He was moving. And it's tough because Bolton refused the screen, so there's really no even need for the screen to be set.
West Virginia with 1 timeout remaining. Same with Iowa State. Possession arrow to the Mountaineers. Both teams in the double bonus. Inside Haley. Doesn't work that time, but Sheedway with the offensive rebound. Another chance, and he gets it to go.
He's one of the 5 best offensive rebounders in America. Over 4 offensive rebounds a game. And he's got 2 bare claws for hands. Not a great finisher yet, but the second chance, he basically sends two-fifths of the Iowa State team out there to the ground. What a monster.
And now he's 1 rebound shy of his 10th double-double of the season. One of only 8 major conference freshmen to lead his team in points and rebounds. Oscar Sheedway now has 11 points and 9 boards. Culver has 17 and 9. And it's all of a sudden back to an 8-point advantage for the Mountaineers.
And West Virginia's best offense over the last couple minutes has been a missed shot. Let's go collect the offensive board.
And that blazing hot start for the second half for Iowa State seems like an eternity to go at this point. Good hands by Osaboyan with the theft. McBride to Haley. And a timeout on the floor. West Virginia back to clicking on all cylinders. What do you make? Another assist, his second of the game. McBride has 11. Haley has 9. Taz Sherman has a dozen. But the stars again have been the big men for the West Virginia Mountaineers.
And that's where this West Virginia pressure this year, it's not to turn you over per se, like it has been in the past. It is to wear you down. And they play a lot of guys.
Another tough take by Bolton, who goes down in a heap under his own basket. Looks like he's grabbing his head.
That rule where the opposing coach can choose the foul shooter.
Correct.
Which I think is a dumb rule. But nonetheless, it is the rule.
Game-wise, it's an unfortunate turn of events for Steve Prohm because Rasheer Bolton's the best free throw shooter on this team. But Solomon Young comes through. There's the look from the overhead. Man, you could see Rasheer Bolton landing hard on the deck, the back of his head. So he's off the floor on the bench. And his team is down 8 with 2:20 to go. Here's Haley. Good second half for him. Can't finish at the rim. Prentiss Nixon. He's been the star in the second half. 5 3-pointers for Nixon tonight, 4 of them coming after halftime. McBride. That foul's going to be on Trey Jackson, sending Miles McBride to the free throw line. And an update from other Big 12 scores. A relative shocker from Norman. The Texas Longhorns are now the hottest team in the Big 12, not named Kansas. They've won 5 straight after winning 52-51 against the Sooners. Highlights to come on SportsCenter. After Tennessee at number 6, Kentucky, Kenny Mayne and John Anderson will have the highlights for you. Looking at the bubble teams, and Texas certainly qualifies as that, plus Zion and the Pelicans chasing a playoff spot in the NBA Western Conference. Yankees Red Sox played today. We'll have all access from that as well. SportsCenter on ESPN coming up after SEC Hoops.
Bolton back on the floor with the ball after slamming his head against the floor.
Now it's gut check time for the Cyclones. The floater is good. Shooter's touch for Rasheer Bolton, who has 20. And the pressure from the Cyclones forces Bob Huggins to call his final timeout of the evening. 1:15 to go. Possession arrow to the Mountaineers. Both teams in the double bonus. A lot yet to be determined, and that goes for these West Virginia Mountaineers. They're up 5, $1:15 to go.
Like, I would foul him here.
Why not? It stops the clock also. Instead, they're playing. Sheway gets it to Osaboyan, and Osaboyan will go to the line and shoot 2. Fouling Gabe Osaboyan's not necessarily a bad option either.
No,
he's only
not.
54%.
Problem is, if you're going to end up fouling somebody, do it 25 seconds ago.
Right.
But, you know, I get it. They're trying to trap. They're trying to induce a steal. And, of course, Osaboyan goes up and doesn't touch anything but the net.
Right. Well, they've been good in the second half. 14 for 16 for the Mountaineers. It's been a big reason that they've been able to come back again in the second half. Osaboyan goes 1 for 2. Good luck trying to figure out this one. Jackson for 3. Three-point game. McBride, the blow-by. And now Prentiss Nixon is down with the clock stopping at 34.8.
Well, he got
half, and Iowa State led by 10. And now all of a sudden we have ourselves a 3-point game. The Mountaineers up 3, 34.8 to go. So after that foul, it's going to be Iowa State ball. They have the full 94 to go.
And you don't need 3.
There's a 4-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Both teams out of timeouts. Bolton almost had a chance at a 3-point play to tie it. Instead, he'll be shooting 2 free throws.
That has been so hard to guard tonight. Rasheer Bolton, the high pick and roll, this time with a split. Look at this, right through the defenders, and you almost get...
You obviously want to make your 2 free throws, but you foul as soon as you can.
Yeah. You know, some coaches will allow that trap to develop with 23 seconds left. I would be good with that. See if you can get a turnover, especially if you get him to catch it in that one of those deep coffin corners.
Once you know it, Rasheer Bolton, an 84% free throw shooter, 9 for 9 tonight, misses the first one. Is there an internal clock in your head? How many ticks have to go off before you would foul?
I think you allow one trap, and you know you'll get 3-4 seconds at most in there.
No timeouts for either team.
Now you lay it on him, foul him.
And instead, Solomon Young fouls Miles McBride.
I don't understand that, and it happens so much. Players have to understand who the bad free throw shooters are on the floor. As soon as Shibwe catches that thing, it needs to be a dead sprint to go foul him.
Instead, they foul McBride, who's a 72% free throw shooter. And he knocks down the first. He's 3 for 3 tonight from the stripe. 14 for McBride.
And this is big right here. Makes it a 2-possession game.
And the freshman from Cincinnati calmly knocks them both down. Shot clock is off. Cyclones need to go. Here's Jackson for 3. Air ball out of bounds, and it will be West Virginia basketball with 7.5 to go. And it'll be an instant foul again. And Miles McBride will go to the line again. Touches every part of the rim and drops through for Miles McBride. 16 for Deuce. And he could put this one on ice. Count it. Well, they knocked down the free throws when they had to. And West Virginia 6.8 seconds away from getting a much-needed victory on the road in the Big 12. The block by McBride, and it's academic at this point. West Virginia comes to Ames, and on senior night in Hilton Coliseum walks out with a win to snap a 3-game losing streak and give Bob Huggins career win number 8.